Hello, welcome back to Marta's Planning Mess. This is just going to be a quick weekly check-in with my common planner into vertical, compact, full year. Well, full year makes it sound like it's got all the pages. It's obviously the whole year. It's not a half. Okay, so last week, this is the spread we had, and I decided to go back and color in my work times so it would be a little bit more obvious. Also, because I had a bunch of appointments for my kids and they arrived home from school, it was overlapping with work, so I thought that would be a little bit more distinct. But everything worked out well. I need to go back and fill in my health data, but I usually can do that once a week, so no rush on that. So we had that worked well, and I kept up with my mood chart. Chores, actually, I did well with chores because my kids were coming. We actually went through, my husband and I, and cleaned, got our house up to snuff, got these things done. So it worked well. I didn't have my running to-do list this week, but it was all right because I didn't have a bunch of individual kind of things that I needed to get done, and I wasn't sure what day they'd land on. I mean, the goal was to get the house clean and spend time with our kids this week. So that was kind of the goal of our to-dos. So I've got this week laid out. I'm going to be on a trip with the school for outdoor education. I've got a few things to work out here. I've got my weather in because I had covered it up with sticker stuff on the other page. So anyway, it's fine. It fits there. I can definitely fit it there, and I need to make sure I can write down, make room for all of these little boxes that I fill in with my health data, but I think that will be fine. Got a place to put chores, being gone for most of 3 days in the middle of the week. I'm not sure how many chores I will get done. There won't be a lot of cooking and like general household trash while I'm gone, so that'll be good. But excuse me. Anyway, this is my last week with this 2-week Dutch door setup. And so I've been a little bit kind of sad. I did think about, okay, you've got, you used up basically September and October to do September. You could, in theory, use up November and December and do October in here, but I just thought, no, it's all right. You did this. And I just want to show you here. I mean, I still have a week or so more of journal pages, but I mean, I've really not used, that wasn't even one. So I started here. So 1 page, 2 pages, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll probably have 7, 8, possibly 9 if I just have a lot to write about. And that will fill this up. Now, I do have, my last week does not finish out the month. So, I need to decide. Yeah, we got 28. So, I'll have 2 more days that I could, in theory, journal in here. I'm not sure what I will do about the journaling. But anyway, it's going to work. And it's also made me feel very comfortable about the fact that I can fit 6 months worth of journaling in the 118 pages in the back of the compact. Because that was the one thing that was making me a little bit nervous, and I went ahead and ordered it on launch day, and I was like, oh, I hope that isn't a mistake. So I think it's going to be totally fine. But anyway, my last week carrying this one around, and I have been very thankful for my little calendar back here. So I got several appointments scheduled, and so next week when I go back to my B6, I will have to move all of those to the future planning monthlies there. So that's that one. Now I'm going to go back over here and show you. So here's the B6 that I'm starting back into next week. And I thought I would go ahead and do some pre-planning layouts in the weekly section. And I did have this moment of, Well, you have an empty September. Why don't you just use that in your Dutch door thing to do October? But I decided not to do that just because I don't have enough to go back and forth between the two planners and finish things out. I don't really want to jump back and forth between the two planners any more than I have already. And it was like, you need to just kind of figure out what you're going to do for the last quarter of the year. So, and find something that you can do that you can be excited about because you're kind of grieving this a little bit. Because, guys, this just feels so good in your hands. For me, I like the size of this. I know, I don't think I could go smaller just because, unless I decided to not journal in it, and then sky's the limit. I could definitely go smaller, but this just feels really, really nice. It's about the size of a wallet, so it fits well in purses and bags. It's slim, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. It's not too heavy, even though I've used as many stickers as I'm probably ever going to use. So it's really kind of my go-to, but this one, I got it because it was a part 2. It was the smallest. Well, I don't know if it's the smallest. They might make an A5 or an A6 part 2. I honestly don't know. But anyway, I wanted to try it out because my other B6, with it being a planner test and having 600 pages, was so chunky. It was just too much to carry around. So I wanted to try this out and see if it would work. And it does. It doesn't work as well because I was trying to use the bottom half for notes, and that's just not, or like to-do lists, and it's just not quite enough. So anyway, since I'm not using an entire page per day for journaling, I knew I needed to set up some plans in the back. So I'm just going to show you, and I hope this doesn't drip too much. This is watercolor that's drying. So this is the first week that I'll be back in here. So I got everything all drawn out, and these are mild liners that I've been using to fill it in, but I like that color, but I don't like that it gets stripy. And if you have to fill in something, when it overlaps, it gets darker. And it takes a good bit of time. So I was like, you know what? This stuff holds up to watercolor. Let's use watercolor. So here's my first watercolor, and I did a very light kind of pale yellow. And I just love the watermarks and how some areas are lighter and darker. My pen did bleed, and I don't hate it, but I decided that I would probably put the pen in later. So my next week is fall break at my job. So I didn't fill any work stuff in, obviously. I may go in depending on if I need to do payroll or something like that. We are not going to do any trip during fall break because our kids' school is on a different schedule. And so as far as I know, we might do a weekend or something. But anyway, nothing to plan here as yet. And then the next week, I did this lovely red, and I'm using up some of my Happy Planner stickers, which I love. And I just love how this turned out. I love the dark border and the color bleeding and the jaggedy edge. It's really cool looking. So I'm happy with that. And then here's the last week for the month. And I put so much paint on here, it's going to really take a while to dry. So it's kind of a shame. Well, I could, in theory, dab some of that up. Let me see if I get a Kleenex. I want to be able to turn the page and show you. And I'm going to dab over here. I just don't want it to drip terribly. This one I added several colors, and I even had a metallic. I don't know if that's going to show up that much. But anyway, this is not watercolor paper. So though it handles watercolor and watercolor doesn't ruin it, it does not absorb and dry and act the way the watercolor paper does. So if you had a watercolor journal, it wouldn't work as well in here. Although suddenly just saying that out loud makes me say, get a Passport daily or whatever, like the smallest daily planner is, and use it for watercolor doodles. How fun would that be? I don't know if I could commit to it, but anyway, that just crossed my mind. Okay, now that that's taken care of, I'm gonna show you what I did here in the back. So maybe what I'll do, because I only have one hand, I'm not at my desk. It's very rare that I actually use my desk for work or planning. Okay, so let's turn this. So here, that's where I left off in July. And then I have my journaling for August. So that was the end of August. And then, of course, there's no September because it's in the other book. So I did this cute little October spread, and I'm happy with it. I love these stickers. Most of these are washi stickers. Let's see if I have the little book handy. I don't have it handy. It's probably buried under that or somewhere else entirely. But anyway, it's one I got from Amazon. I just put in like washi stickers, and they had like 4 different color combinations, and this is the green ones. And the stickers are beautiful. The back of it is like the same colors and whatever, like cardstock. I don't really use that, so I end up kind of tossing that, which is kind of wasteful, but I don't have a use for it. So, but I do love the stickers that are in there. So I actually have in my little book the green ones and the black ones, which are kind of like a movie theme, filled in there. So this is a piece of washi tape, and I don't know if you can see. Okay, yeah, it's right there. So this is a roll, and it comes with 31 days. Oh, here, I see it. So I can show you. It comes like this, and every time you get another section, it moves over just by 1, which it is what it is, but the months don't fall like that. But what I found is I just cut out the month section, trim all the extra stuff around it, and then just trim it so that it's starting, this is my Friday or Saturday and Sunday. And it's a 31. If it was a date with a 30, I would just cut that off. And then my next week would need to line up. So the 1 was first. But anyway, this has worked well. It's kind of big to like put in the front of a planner. I have it in a couple of planners. But anyway, it's nice for a page like this to just be like, oh, that's what the month looks like. So I did that. And then this is going to be my weekly spread. So since I didn't do the Dutch door option here, I decided to just give myself a weekly spread. So there's my running to-do list starting. And I think I drew this line all the way across, but you can see we're real close to that halfway dot. So I may just go down to here and then restart another one here. If I have that many to-dos, I hope I don't have that many to-dos. But anyway, so I like having week 40. I got some new stamps. All the ones I had before were really big. So these are nice and small. And have capitals and lowercase. And I like how tiny they are, and they're much more practical for stamping. So that's what I used here. They don't have numbers, unfortunately. I should look on Amazon and see if I can find some small numbers and symbols. That would be kind of cool. But that's okay. It's not the end of the world if I can't find it either. But anyway, I've got this set up with like my chores and my mood tracker that's ready to go for that week. And so originally I thought, okay, I'll do week 40, week 41, 42, etc. But then I thought, no, do it more like the new complete planner. So what I'm going to do is, we're at the month of October. There's the first week set of to-do lists, and I'm going to start journaling, and I'm going to journal as far as I need to journal, and then I'll do my next week spread and do the journals that way. And if that doesn't work well, if I need to start setting up this page before I'm done journaling, I will either have to just put it in there and then like wrap the journaling around to the beginning of the next week's journal section. Or I may just say, forget it, that was too complicated, but I'm trying that. It's something I've been trying. I've been thinking about the complete planner and if it would work for me. I know number one, it's not going to work for me this year because it is too big. With my paper test, 600 pages was too big, and that with having a hardcover would be even heavier, and it's even more than 600 pages. But all that to say, if this is really successful and she decides to do more options that way, if she had a 2-part series complete, that in a B6 could work. I mean, obviously, and then N2 would be my choice, but I don't know how much she'll expand. But if she ever decided to do the complete as 2 separate books, I think that could work for me really well, because remember, I'm like struggling with like this Dutch door system of trying to get my to-do lists really close to my weekly list instead of jumping around in the book. So let's say we had the spread like we did with a vertical week, and then the next several pages are blank for you to journal with. Hey, I've got my spot to do my to-do list page, and I could trim off the top if I wanted, so that Dutch door stuff would work, and I could still see the date. And then behind those, I'd do all of my journaling, any decorating or whatever I wanted to do, and then we'd have the next week's weekly spread. So it's kind of like, see, that's why I picked paper tests, was because she had it like that. The problem with paper tests, which I didn't fully understand when I got it, was that she didn't have a weekly spread in there, a vertical weekly spread. She just has a little half-page horizontal. And if she had left the whole thing blank, maybe it would have been fine. But that took up a half of the first page, and then you had 7 blank ones. And I just could not figure out a way to get my vertical spread in there. Because I mean, I could have done it on top, but that would have been a lot of like whiting out and redrawing layouts. And it's hard enough when the layout isn't there at all. But when you have another one that you're having to cover up. And so I could never quite make it work. But anyway, with the way that Sterling Ink has its common planner set or complete planner set up, if she would do a 6-month, I think that could work for me. So that's been like a rattling around in my head, but it's not going to affect this year because it's a full book, and I know that that's too much for me. So, I mean, even though I'm still sad that the paper test didn't work out well, it was a learning experience for me and a growing experience of understanding what works and what doesn't, how big is too big, how small is too small. I have yet to find too small, but I know what works well and how small it is. So anyway, all that to say, that's in my mind. So if she decides to try that, I would definitely try a 2-part complete. I think that could be cool. Even hardbound. I mean, I would be okay with that, because I'm the one that would be, I would maybe do a clear cover, but I wouldn't put it in anything bulky. I don't want my stuff to be bulky. In fact, I took this out of its leather cover over the weekend because I wanted it with me, even though I didn't really pull it out more than once. And it was just because I had some time to kill and I wanted to look at it. But I found that when it's out of its cover, it fits in my little pouch that I put my wallet and my keys in. And that goes in my big work bag. And up until then, it had been like, okay, I've got that pouch and I'm going to grab my planner. And so it was nice to get them all to fit in the same little pouch. So I did not get a Sterling Ink clear cover for this when I bought it last year. I was afraid. I'd heard reviews that they were too small. I was afraid it wasn't going to fit well. And I had just bought some Weeks ones for Hobonichi Weeks, generic ones off of Amazon. And so that's what I did. And I should actually dig that out if I'm going to leave this without a cover. It even has a Midori belt buckle. Belt buckle isn't right. Belt clip. Clear that goes with it. It's not a pretty clear cover though. It's kind of, it's like a translucent milky rather than just being clear, like she makes them. So, but it had no, did it have pockets on the inside? Can't remember. Anyway, I am looking forward to using this week for the last time. And I'm excited. I'm excited about the direction that this is going. And I'm really excited about my watercolor and letting that finish drying and having something pretty to look for. When I was in graduate school, and this is like probably 2002, I bought myself an A5 sized sketchbook, watercolor book. I'm trying to think. I guess I was doing weekly spreads or dailies. I don't remember what I was into back in those days. I had never found a good planner system that I loved. They had given me a planner when I first started graduate school, and it was A5 size, and it was slim, and it had a place for all my homework assignments. It was great. And I guess I didn't get one the next year, and so I was going to make one. So anyway, at that time in my life, I was going to like TJ Maxx and places like that and getting these spiral bound books that had really pretty paper, and it would be lined paper, but it might have some color or like a little butterfly or something just that made it a little bit special. And I would take the books home. I would take them out of the spiral binding, and I would feed those things through my printer, and I would print on them, and I would make my own planners that way. And I think I did. I think it was like daily pages, or maybe I divided up the week in like horizontal chunks. I really cannot remember exactly what I did. But all that to say, I had taken those watercolor papers, and instead of feeding them through my printer, or maybe I did that first or second. No, probably first. But I did these beautiful watercolor pages, and I mean, they were wrinkly and gnarly. I had salt on them because I wanted it to do cool things, and then they were scratchy, and but it was a very fun project. But it was heavy and clunky, and I don't know that I used it to its full potential. And back in those days, I didn't need to plan as much as I do now. But anyway, this is reminding me of that a little bit. Like, just look at we can't see because of the shadow, but like the watermarks there. And this is without salt. Sometimes, yeah, like right there. Sometimes it kind of needs salt to do stuff like that. But this one, part of it, I think, too, is pulling it up with the tissue, maybe gave it some of those patterns. But anyway, I'm very excited about this. Having it be pretty, and it's got a little bit of a shimmer because I used that metallic one, and it's reminding me of when there's salt on the paper. Anyway, looking forward to using this and watercoloring and making this special, and not going into the last quarter of the year as a Daisy Downer because I can't use my favorite planner. I'm going to make it. And who knows what I'll do with my N2 vertical that's coming for 2026. If I'll start off and get into that one and get some spreads laid out, and some watercolor. Who knows what I'll do. But anyway, I'm excited. I'm glad I gave myself something to be excited about in this planner. And I hope that this was helpful and interesting as you watch me navigate through trying to make my planner the perfect situation. Have a wonderful evening.